Hello there, everybody. Happy Halloween and welcome back to HCA's Pop Council, the show where we talk about all the nerdy things, all the fandoms, all the TV shows and movies that we love. I'm Wendy Lee Szany. I am one of your hosts, and joining me on this lovely Halloween is Jami Philbrick.
Hey, Wendy, how you doing? Happy
Halloween!
Halloween!
Happy Halloween! Do you get trick-or-treaters? Do you do where you are?
Not really. Although this is the first Halloween where there are two children that now live in my building.
Oh.
So we've never had children in the building before this year. So maybe they'll do some trick-or-treating. But I'm on like a corner off of a busy street. There's not a lot of foot traffic here. So
yeah,
I don't even have candy. I hope they don't come. I don't have any candy.
You just turn off the lights.
I can give them some swags from some of the movies that we covered.
Here, kid, pick one.
Hey, you want a Funko Pop from the second Thor?
Dark World.
Right.
Here you go. They'll be like,
but I like your costume. What is that? Are you Pikachu? Of course,
Pikachu.
Yeah, it's a great costume. Is that onesie?
Yes, it's very comfy.
Mine is actually a onesie as well. I'm going with the Maverick Top Gun. Yeah.
I love that we didn't even try to coordinate. We just said, let's just try to dress up. And we ended up coordinating.
Murphy had his Chewbacca outfit on, but I took it off because he was getting a little hot with it. But he's got a Chewbacca. It's got a hoodie like yours, but his body shape just didn't. It's the largest costume they had in dog size, but the hood, you can't quite get the hood over his head. So
Murphy is kind of a tall dog.
He is.
He's a tall dog. So
yeah.
Well, we have lots of fun things to talk about on today's show.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll munch on some Halloween candy while we're at it. But we are finally getting to talk our thoughts on Black Adam. We're going to talk a little bit of The Witcher because season 4 is going to look pretty different. Some big shakeup news for DC that you guys probably haven't already know about, but we haven't talked about it yet. So let's talk about that. And of course, 2 brand new trailers that dropped recently in the Marvel-verse for Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special, and Man The Wasp, Quantumania. So let's go ahead and get into it first. And we're going to dive into Black Adam. So this movie has been out for a couple of weeks now. And, you know, it's funny. This was such for me, like, because we waited so long for this movie to come out. Like, we're going to come out, I think it was like, 2020 in the DC fandom when we got a sneak peek.
They just started shooting it. They just started shooting it after the pandemic.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited. I was pretty excited to see this because I hadn't really seen, I know The Rock has just been putting all of his energy into this role. He's been like the sole champion. The fact that this project even happened, I think, is largely due to Dwayne Johnson.
I mean, I would say 100% due to him. I mean, just a little background. The story, the legend as it is now, is that he was actually offered the choice of Shazam or Black Adam by DC. And he chose Black Adam. Originally, they were going to be in the same film. Black Adam was going to be the villain. And you can actually see that if you watch Shazam. Like, Sylvania never had those powers in the comics. Like, very clearly, they just took out that character and put in a different one. That's my guess. But I know that he had the opportunity to choose either. He chose Black Adam, and that's why Black Adam got his own movie. Black Adam would not have his own movie if
it was
the
not
biggest
Dwayne
movie star in the world didn't want it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think with the Snyderverse and all the stops and starts the DC has had, that, and quite frankly, all of the studio, changes. They've had 3 different parent companies in the last 5 years. So I think all of that delayed Black Adam.
It really did. So I am happy that it is finally out for the fans to enjoy, and especially for, cast and crew to finally be able to see their work in the theater. I enjoyed it. I thought the action was really well done. And I know it's not technically Snyderverse or anything like that, but the vibe of it, because it's Black Adam, so I did expect it to go a little bit darker. It matched that for me. A lot of the action, a lot of the shots, the slow motion and everything, I felt that it kind of gave me that Snyder feel, which I personally enjoy. I don't know if everybody out there is kind of but I thought it's fine. It's nice to finally have, the Black Adam officially introduced into the DC the DCU and that it's the DC universe now. And I think I really enjoyed the Justice Society. What about you? What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually loved this movie. I liked it so much more than I really thought I was going to.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I agree. Like, it's like picking up the best parts of the Snyderverse. Because he cast Aquaman, he cast Wonder Woman. Those movies work. Like, he had good, not everything worked with the Snyderverse, but a lot of stuff did. And so I think kind of picking up what worked, which was really great. I also, it's a weird character because it's like he probably shouldn't have his own story or have his own movie. Like, it's not really. And the fact that, in the comics, there is an arc where he becomes good for a little while. He joins the Justice Society, even joins the Justice League. And so they're clearly kind of playing off of that. I think the whole like anti-hero thing, like, they're not really playing into the villain part. And just the fact that you have Dwayne Johnson playing that role, it was the same way with Will Smith and Deadshot.
Yes.
You can make that character as bad as you want it to be, but if you have that beloved of an actor, you can't help but then that character becomes the hero, right? Because the audience is in with Dwayne Johnson from the beginning of this. I also thought it was a great marriage of character and actor. I would almost, and this is going to sound strange, but I would compare it to Arnold playing the Terminator. Like,
oh, okay. No, I had the same thought.
Arnold was, we can all say Arnold's maybe not the greatest actor in the world, but he was born to play that damn robot. He was amazing as that robot. And I think it was the same with Dwayne. Like, who he is so perfect for this. And then also, like, very little, he would say so much just with like the movement of his eyes, or without like a lot of movement or a lot of dialogue. You got everything emotionally that was going on with him. So I thought that was great. Loved the Justice Society. I thought the younger members of the Justice Society had a couple of scenes cut, I'm guessing, because there didn't seem like a lot of backstory to them. I'm guessing there was some stuff that was sort of cut, which was fine, could be. Obviously, Dr. Fate and Hawkman are the two kind of lead characters of that. Yeah. We'll get into a little spoilery here, I'm going to say, although I don't think there are any spoilers with this movie at this point. But Amanda Waller sending the Justice Society seems a little off-brand. I don't know why the Justice Society is working for Amanda Waller.
I was actually surprised that she cameoed in this movie.
That would make more sense that she would send the Suicide Squad to stop him, which I understand was an original concept of the script at one point. Possibly after the Suicide Squad didn't do during the pandemic what it should have. And let me say,
that was such a good movie.
Let me say, it's my favorite DC movie. It's still, in fact, I now have Black Adam 2. I still have the Suicide Squad #1 of the DCEU movies. But that being said, it didn't do what they wanted it to do. So maybe they just said, let's go off the Suicide Squad for a second and do Justice Society. But I thought it really worked. And then, of course, the end credit scene, worst kept secret in Hollywood, because Dwayne pretty much talked about it in every press interview, including mine. That
it's how I found out. It was through somebody's interview. I don't know if it was yours, but I watched some interviews because I was just like, oh, it's The Rock, and he gives great interviews.
Be told as many times as you want, don't spoil it, and I will never spoil anything before the movie comes out. But if the star of the movie starts spoiling it, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And I think he spoiled it for lots of different reasons. One of which was I think he wanted everyone, including Warner Brothers, to know that Henry Cavill is back as Superman, and as long as Dwayne Johnson is Black Adam, Henry will be Superman. And so that was exciting news. I mean, again, even my reaction when I saw it in the screening, because obviously that was before Rock was doing interviews and I heard anything about that yet. But we knew that it was sort of,
possible.
I kind of even knew, that it was something that he wanted. So my first reaction when I saw that scene was like, they pulled it off. Like, awesome. Like, he pulled it off. And seeing Henry back, I never really understood why Henry shouldn't continue to be Superman.
I agree.
I would say the same about, not that I don't love the idea of Michael Keaton coming back as the original Batman, but I always loved Affleck's Batman and didn't think that either Affleck's Batman or Henry Cavill's Superman really got the opportunity to shine in the way that Gal did in this first Wonder Woman solo movie, or even to a degree Momoa did in Aquaman, right? And so, yeah, the idea, and we know Affleck's coming back in some form in Aquaman 2 and Flash, and if that ever gets released and beyond. So I like the idea, and we'll get into this obviously with the James Gunn news in a few minutes, but there was a lot that was done right in the DCEU, and there was a lot that was done wrong. And there's no reason to throw everything out. You know, those actors work. Momoa works. Gal works. Like Henry and Ben work. Like Ezra, that's a different story. There's a lot of other situations involved with that. But as far as, you know, the core four, they work. And I think adding Dwayne as Black Adam, and we've now have Hawkman, and Huntress is still running around out there, and Black Canary. And, you know, there is a real Justice League forming. And so I hope that Warner Brothers Discovery, you know, they've done well with Black Adam. Hopefully they realize we've got the biggest star in the world. Sans Tom Cruise, right? You put Tom Cruise out of the conversation, Dwayne's the biggest star in the world.
He's very recognizable globally.
You know, we want to keep, I can't imagine as a company, they wouldn't want to continue to work with him. The fans seem to enjoy the direction they're going in. Like it's all just a win for them. You know, the only thing they can do is screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, here's the hoping. I've been asking for you, just asking myself, not to anyone in particular, when are we getting a Man of Steel 2? How were we not getting a Man of Steel 2 before Batman v Superman? I didn't understand why we just jumped to that instead of, you know, just adding some extra stuff.
They rushed it. They rushed bringing in Batman, and they were trying to compete with the MCU, which was already going strong at that point, right? I mean, you know, we can woulda, shoulda all day, Monday quarterback this, but like maybe they wouldn't have been wrong moving forward with the George Miller full Justice League movie. You know what I mean? Like that always seemed like a good idea to me, of a way to compete with Marvel, because you had the MCU taking off.
Yeah.
You know, Dark Knight was finishing. I know they thought they'd be confusing to have two Batmans, but here we are in 2022 and we have two Batmans, maybe three, possibly.
Maybe three.
So I think counter programming to Marvel, where Marvel did do it sort of quote unquote the right way, kind of, you know, here's this trilogy and that trilogy and this trilogy, and now they'll come together in this phase for an Avengers movie. It would have been interesting to maybe just start off with Justice League, and with, you know, introducing those 5 or 6 characters, and just starting with there. And then, you know, then Aquaman gets his own movie, and which is what they really tried to do, I think, with the Snyderverse. But by that point, you know, they had so many fans saying, well, we didn't like this, we didn't like that. They're already shooting Justice League. They're moving forward. Poor guy's, you know, has a family tragedy. I mean, there was just so much stuff that happened. That idea of setting up Justice League and then launching off the characters in their separate films, I think that was a good idea. They just weren't able to execute it.
I agree. So hopefully now, like you said, they can, you know, maybe course correct. We know that Henry Cavill was really excited about it. He posted to his own social media this past Monday that he is back as Superman. He had, you know, waited for the weekend. But yeah, it's official. He's made it back. And he didn't really give much detail, but he is thankful that everybody seems to have a very good response, a positive response to his return as Superman. So I am thinking that they are now definitely in more of a serious talk for a Man of Steel 2, or to at least put Cavill back in some sort of like a Justice League.
One thing I've heard, and this is sort of just a, you know, chalk this up to the rumors. Yeah. But I've heard, one thought I've heard is that he might be sort of an added value player to other DC films moving forward. Think Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, Bruce Banner Hulk. And do you know what I mean? He hasn't gotten his own Hulk movie yet. But he's been a big part of Ragnarok and the Avengers and She-Hulk. And so I've heard that as a possibility. Like if there's not a Man of Steel 2 right away,
right? Because that takes time.
He'll be sort of plugged into other things. But Man of Steel 2 does seem like something that they would be. I mean, it's obviously something he wants, and that they're working towards. The other interesting thing, I just want to bring up this thought and have you hear your thoughts on it, is what we've started to notice now that Discovery's taken over is a lot of these HBO Max AT&T plans and things that were in production, or not even in production, but in development and Discovery says, Keanu Reeves wants to come back. Let's do Constantine 2. J.J. Abrams, I know you've already cast your new John Constantine for your TV show. That's not happening anymore. And we know there was a J.J. Abrams Superman that was going to cast an African-American actor.
Yes, with Michael B. Jordan.
Well, then that's
a different one.
That's a separate one. Then there was Michael B. Jordan's Valzad TV series. And I'm hearing neither of them will probably move forward at this point with Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. So it's
wow, what a shakeup.
Interesting to see. I mean, I guess I'd ask you, Wendy, like if you had to choose, you can have this Michael B. Jordan, idea, and you move forward with and a diverse Superman.
Yeah.
But you can't have Henry Cavill too. Oh. Or you can have Henry Cavill, but you can't have diverse Superman for a little while.
Man. I mean, here's the thing is we only got to see Cavill as Superman, really, not even counting this cameo because it was so short.
I would argue, I'm not sure we ever got to see him as Superman, the real Superman.
Right, because the first movie was establishing, both.
And he's not the real Superman and be Batman versus Superman. I mean, he's the villain. He's some sort of different version. Yeah, he's basically the Dark Knight Returns version.
That's why I
never, other than sort of I would say the only real Superman we've seen is the Joss Whedon reshoot end credit scene where he races Flash. That's the only real character Superman that we've, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of that version.
It's just insane. And that's why I want more to actually give him the chance to actually be Superman.
Yep.
And tell that story. And I really do think Man of Steel 2 is long overdue. So I'm hoping that, now that it's established in the Black Adam movie, that we will get a chance to see just more of him. And while I would love seeing him, kind of be the steady cameo in all these movies a la Mark Ruffalo, which is great, but I don't want that to be the only thing he does. So
I agree.
Let's hope it's meteor for him. And Henry Cavill isn't just sitting at home waiting to hear back about whether or not he's going to get to put on the cape again. We all know that he's been busy. He was busy with playing Sherlock Holmes in Enola, the first one. He's also in the second one, which is now out on Netflix, if you like to watch. He's been in all 3 seasons of The Witcher as Geralt. And now, and this news comes pretty close to the same time that, after he confirms. Yep. So I do wonder if, am I looking into this too, with a suspicious eye or what? But here is a photo of Henry Cavill in The Witcher. So the show has been renewed for a 4th season on Netflix. But moving forward for season 4, we unfortunately will no longer be getting Henry Cavill, who's going to be exiting the production. We have Liam Hemsworth taking over the role, the brother of Chris Hemsworth, taking over the role of Geralt of Rivia. So I thought that was a very interesting announcement. Here's a little quote from Henry. Henry says, "My journey as Geralt has been filled with both monsters and adventures, and alas, I will be laying down my medallion and my sword for season 4. And in my stead, the fantastic Mr. Liam Hemsworth will be taking up the mantle of the White Wolf." What are your thoughts? You've seen The Witcher, I assume, even if it's just season 1.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about this sudden change of so? They're both great, but they look very different. Stature wise as well. I'm not sure how tall Liam is, but Henry looks like a solid 6'3".
Right.
So, and they just don't look the same to me. So what was your kind of initial thoughts and reaction to that news?
Well, my first reaction is Man of Steel 2 is shooting really soon. That was my first reaction, right? And so, coming off the heels less than a week later that he's back as Superman, that tells me like something's moving. He's also got a bunch of movies coming up. I know he he's starring in another Guy Ritchie movie, and I think he's starring in a Matthew Vaughn movie. And I think both might be spy thrillers.
Nice.
Where he's playing a spy. And it's also interesting, he's done a really good job in a weird way of post Supermaning his career, right? Because he had Superman that jumped him up, obviously. And then, he did Man from U.N.C.L.E. and a couple of other movies that didn't quite make him the movie star that I think we were thinking he would be. But then taking the villain role in a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie. Huge.
So good.
Then take a TV show, right? Taking a big Netflix show that becomes one of their biggest shows.
Yeah.
As well as the Enola movies, kind of taking that back seat, I think has made him more viable as an actor. And certainly in a better position for the studio to now say, oh, maybe we can hang Superman on him,
Yeah.
Because in a weird way, he's becoming a bigger movie star than he ever was when he was just making movies, through TV somehow. So, and then when I heard the news, and I like Liam, I think he's a good actor. I don't mean this in a bad way, but and the fact that he's playing the same character, that they're not going to create a new character for him to sort of fill in that role. It just reminds me of like the two Darrens from Bewitched, right? Like, do you know that reference? Are you too young for that reference?
No, I get it.
Where they just, you know what I mean? And there's the other way of doing it is like Hogan's Family, right? Where Valerie Harper leaves the series, and then Sandy Duncan isn't playing Valerie Harper. She's playing the aunt, right? That fills in that role. And so I'm wondering if that, having Liam Hemsworth play Henry Cavill just doesn't quite work for me. Obviously, I'll give it an opportunity to see it and see how it does. But that just doesn't, and even star power wise, it just doesn't match. I don't know. It seems like doesn't seem like a great replacement or a great choice.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Again, nothing against Liam. I like Liam, but I just don't see him filling out this role the way Henry did.
They're very different actors.
And it also makes me think that this was a very last minute decision on everyone's part, because I don't know. I wonder how long this has been in the works, because it seems like a quick choice. I'll say that. Seems like a quick fix.
Interesting. And I just want to point out real quick, I mixed their heights because I actually thought Henry was the 6'3". Liam is actually the 6'3" and Henry is the 6'1".
That because those Hemsworths are tall.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah, those Hemsworths are tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the short Hemsworth is tall. So.
their version of short is 6'3".
Right. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I'm super happy for Liam to get to, take on this role. I think that's going to be he's going to have a fun time with him. But I think one of the things that the series is so popular is that now we all kind of, when we think The Witcher, the TV show or the series, we immediately have that image of Henry Cavill in our head. And also, their ages, like Liam's obviously younger than Henry. So are they doing some sort of a time thing for it? Because just looks wise, they don't even look the same. So even with the wig and the outfit. Yeah. So I do wonder about that. I do wonder why they decided to go with the same character instead of establishing a new character. Like 3 seasons is awesome.
let me give you another right, or instead of just ending it, let me give you another scenario, Wendy. At the height of The Sopranos, Gandolfini leaves the show and they replace Tony with Danny Aiello. I mean, come on, you're not watching that. No. And no offense to Danny Aiello, he's a great actor, but he wasn't Tony Soprano. You've already had 3 seasons of Tony Soprano. If Gandolfini left the show and they just another guy, another Italian actor was playing, you know, Tony Soprano, you'd be like, what the fuck, you know? So I think fans may. I don't know how fans are going to take this.
Right. I'm not
Henry's
sure.
So beloved. You know, he's so beloved.
That's the thing. This is not at all saying Liam isn't up to the task. I think he totally is, or they wouldn't have cast him, because he even said it himself. He understands, like, he's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So it won't be easy, but he's going to work really hard at it. And we know that because he's a dedicated actor. But the fans sometimes can be, you know, they would voice their unhappy their displeasure.
I mean, you know, I'm willing to give it a shot,
of course,
but it just doesn't. Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like if Henry wasn't returning, they might just be better off.
Even if it's creating a brand new character that's not from the books or the game, so be it.
I think that would have maybe been a better route to take.
Yeah, because he's leaving. He has to leave for a reason. I'm guessing the man just got too busy.
Yeah. And and listen, and I think it's like, you know, what the project is like when they did basically a similar thing with Batwoman, right? But they chose the other route. Like, we're going to create a new character. Now, knowing DC Comics, I know there were a lot of other female DC comic characters that they could have used. That was a real DC comic character that could later take on, you know, the mantle of Batwoman, but they decided to create a brand new character. And I think that would have been better. In this instance, also because I don't know the source material enough if there's other characters, you know, in that source material, but there was with DC.
I mean, it's very interesting, all the things that are seeming to happen all at once. It feels like it's just like, oh, Black Adam's out, and now we can you know, just like let the domino just tip it over and let it all fall into place.
I feel like most of the stories we're talking about today are all somehow connected.
Yeah, with the James Gunn thing as well, which, you know, let's talk about that. Let's
get to that. Yeah, I feel like this is all connected.
This was actually, you know, when I saw the announcement, I saw it on Twitter, and I had to like double check the source because I was like, who's tweeting this? Is this a joke?
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, James Gunn. And then the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense.
They've been looking for a comics guy. And, you know, we keep hearing this and I don't feel like they have the need to compare themselves to or like emulate, you know, Marvel in any way. But they keep throwing it around in all the articles that I keep reading. You know, they're throwing out, they want to find their own Kevin Feige. James Gunn is the person who really knows and understands, most importantly, understands comic books. We saw that with his Suicide Squad. We saw that with what he did with Peacemaker, the TV show. So I think him being co-chairman and co-CEO of DC Studios is a shock, because I was like, oh my God, as if he wasn't busy enough just directing, like now he's going to run that whole branch. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he'll do, and I hope that they let him be his creative self.
Yep. Well, I think that's why they hired him, right? I think that's what they wanted. I think, you know, in saying we want a Kevin Feige, what they mean is we want someone who knows the business, who can produce, and also knows these characters and knows what the fans want from these characters, right? And that is a tricky thing to find, because you got to find someone who has the experience as a producer, as executive producer in the business with those contacts, but also has the knowledge of the source material, right? Yeah. And so I think they were really trying to find 2 people to fill that role of Kevin, because it's really hard to find one person with all of those attributes. Yes. And so I think they were going with this idea of, we'll get an executive producer, someone who would naturally fill in this position, who works closely with a creative that has this knowledge. So in some ways, Peter Safran and James Gunn were the only choice.
Yeah.
I believe I've heard that Peter Safran and his other director he works quite a bit with, James Wan was in play at some point. They may even have gone, and I don't know this, I'm just throwing nonsense out there, but they may have even gone to Wan first, right? And just with Conjuring and with everything, he's in production on Aquaman, it might have just been too much.
Yeah.
James has already started to take that role with what he's doing, kind of fleshing out on the HBO Max shows with the DC, you know, sort of the Suicide Squad universe with Peacemaker and a possible Amanda Waller show and other stuff. So he's already starting to branch out into those other areas that you would want someone in this role to have knowledge with and to know what to do with. So I feel like in a lot of ways, like it's absolutely the perfect choice, but really the only choice. And I'm really excited. I don't think it will, you know, I mean, look, we know Gunn is finishing up really 2 projects for Marvel, basically the same project. You know, they're shot at the same time, but they're 2 different, they'll be released as 2 separate projects.
Yes.
My understanding is then he's done with Marvel, and then he'll be full time with DC. I would imagine he'll be given a film project. You know, we know he's got the TV stuff he's overseeing for DC. I would imagine he'll direct some big DC movie coming up next, and then also be able to sort of executive produce and oversee and choose the directors that the filmmakers they're choosing for some of these other projects and really oversee it. So even if he didn't take this job, I don't think James Gunn's making a non-DC or Marvel movie for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
I think he's locked into it. So I don't think taking this job is going to take him away from doing any of the stuff he would have done for DC.
Right.
Now, if he has, you know, a Scooby-Doo 3 he wants to do, or some other, you know, Slither 2 or Super 2 or, you know, a personal project, there may not be a lot of time for that in the near future. Right. But anything he wanted to do DC, I mean, they're basically handing him the keys to the kingdom. So I think he's going to strive. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great for DC fans.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this news.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you know, we know James Gunn is no stranger to Marvel. He's worked on Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, so much so that when he initially exited because of some the controversy that he was under fire for, I think he was actually like let go.
Correct.
From the Guardians film, the cast banded together and signed a petition, and they said, you know, we're not going to do this without him. Dave Bautista was especially vocal about this as well. So that just tells me that these people, big cast, really enjoy working with him as a director. So that tells me he's collaborative. He's open to listen. He likes to play. You know, you can see it in Suicide Squad. You can see it in that movie. Like everybody just like brought it. You know, that they just had fun with it. So that's what I expect to see going forward. And of course, rumors already started, you know, fly immediately. Like, oh, now there's DC Marvel rivalry because James Gunn, and he used to be Marvel and then he got let go. And, you know, James Gunn had to come out and say, we don't have rivalry. He has a lot of love for Kevin Feige. They have the same common goal. Like, this is why I don't like it when people start to compare. Like, these are all just really cool comic book characters that we get to see in TV and movie, and like, let's just enjoy that part of it. So I hate that he even had to come out and squash it, but at the same time, I'm like, meh. And apparently, Kevin Feige was the first person that James Gunn told.
Yep.
John Cena being the second.
Just makes sense.
So yeah, I think people like to you know, like make things up. Like, oh, there must be controversy. I was like, no, you know, it doesn't have to be always competitive. It doesn't always have to be competitive. So,
and I think also with the people we're talking about, like, I think it's not competitive, right? Like they're all creatives. So they're all trying to create. The competitiveness comes from the people upstairs, right? The competitive comes from the parent company that doesn't want to be behind the other parent company. That's really where that comes from. It's not between, and then quite frankly, the fans. And I think as journalists, we stoke that up sometimes, the rivalry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not coming from the people that are actually making these projects.
Correct. They're just like trying to work.
Yeah.
trying to make a movie. Yeah. And speaking of which, James Gunn, he's got Guardians 3 coming out. And on top of that, we get a holiday special. So a trailer was released not too long ago where the Guardians, Peter Quill's buddies, wants to do something nice for him. He's feeling sad over the loss of Gamora and everything else that's happened. And what would fix it? Christmas. Bringing Christmas to the galaxy. I guess it's going to be wild. It's going to be chaotic, especially we have Mantis. Out of all the Guardians, I mean, any of them, it would be chaotic. But if you get Mantis and Drax, who I love their dynamic, like their comedic timing with each other is so funny because of their personality and the fact that they came down to Earth to try to. It almost gave me like Nightmare Before Christmas feel, where they fall into Christmas Town. They're like, "What's this? What's this?" And try to build the perfect Christmas for Peter by bringing him the thing that will matter, that will cheer him up the most, the legendary Kevin Bacon.
Yep. So it's interesting that you had those vibes, because I had the vibes of like Star Wars Christmas special.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Just from the trailer, I was kind of like, ooh.
Oh no.
Here? Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I even felt, and I could be completely wrong with this, but like even the look of it looks more like a TV video shot piece than a film shot piece. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's a TV special and all that, but it just now the interesting thing is, I've always said this, is like, so much happened to the Guardians in the last 2 Avengers movies, which Gunn had no, he may have given the Russos some advice or something, but really had no say over. So like, if you look at those first 2 Guardians films and the fact that they, take place chronologically right next to each other, it always seemed like Gunn was going to go for a third right after, and then Infinity War happened, and so he had to like, I don't know that it was always Gunn's goal to kill off Gamora and have a time traveling Gamora be the Gamora of the third movie. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like there are certain things that happened after he left, before he came back,
yes,
that he may not have had a say in, that dealt with his characters, right?
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I feel like the holiday special gives him an opportunity to bridge that gap.
Okay.
Because 3 is going to happen well after Infinity War. It was kind of like the whole Infinity War Endgame kind of split up the Guardians franchise.
Yes.
And so this gives it a chance to kind of get it back on course to whatever that third movie is going to be. I don't know. Getting Kevin Bacon all kind of seems like filler. I mean, I hope I love it. I like the specials that they're doing. I liked the Werewolf by Night a lot.
Yes. That one's excellent.
And I love the Guardians. I mean, Guardians is still my favorite, outside of Endgame and Infinity War, my favorite MCU movies. So it's not like I'm not a Guardians fan. I mean, I really hope this is great, but I am concerned.
Interesting. At what point when you were watching the trailer, you went, "Oh, Star Wars holiday special"? Was there a particular scene that reminded you of that?
I'm glad you asked.
This?
You just showed the shot. There's a shot where the camera moves around him, and it just looked like video. It didn't look like film.
I see.
And maybe that's the effect he's going for. Maybe he wants it to look like a TV special from the 70s or 80s and not look like a film. But I was expecting it to be more, like a movie. More
more cinematic.
More cinematic, exactly. And this,
I gotcha. Okay.
And then then you realize really quickly, this is starring Drax, and like Paul and Dave are the stars. Chris is probably in about 10 minutes of it.
Chris is voicing Mario and Garfield. He's busy.
Right. And same with Rocket and Groot. They're probably only in a little bit of it. So this is so it's not a Guardians special as much as a Drax and Mantis special. And then putting in the Kevin Bacon thing, I don't know, it just seems a little shoot in. But again, I love Guardians. I love James Gunn. I'm going to see this as soon as it comes out. I hope that I'm wrong and it's way better than I'm expecting.
Yeah, I mean, and we only have to wait less than a month to find out. So we will see if we can talk about that after we've seen this special, and we can come back on to see our thoughts on this special presentation. Yeah.
But I like what they're doing with the special presentations.
Me too.
Yeah, I like what they're doing.
Yeah. I think what's the rumor that they were going to make Nova one as well? That's a rumor though. It's not confirmed.
See, again, I why are we doing a special out of Nova? I think Nova deserves
a series,
their own film. Yeah.
Yeah, at the very least a series first, and then we can go to film. Yeah, Nova's a big character.
Yeah, exactly. Nova's a big character.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Werewolf by Night fits. Like, I get that. Yes. That should be the Halloween special. It should, like, that fits. And it's not a character that would be like a major character. It's a character that would be introduced and then you maybe would see in Moon Knight or something else.
Yeah.
Played down the road. But like Nova, Silver Surfer, Ghost Rider, those are major Marvel characters. They need to have the full treatment, whether that's a TV series or a film.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You know, it comes out November, I think 25th, like on Thanksgiving. So as we sit there with our, overstuffed bellies from the food coma, we can sit down and turn on the special presentation that is Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's not the only trailer we got in the past couple of weeks. We also got this fantastic one, which, you know, a lot of us who went to San Diego Comic-Con or D23 that happened this past September got to see it. But this has some new footage in it, and I'm talking about Man The Wasp, the Quantumania. And here is Scott and his daughter. Like, by the way, she's in her suit. His
Cassie.
Daughter. Yeah, she looks great. She looks great.
What's her hero name from the
Stinger?
comics?
Is it Stinger?
Oh no, I thought she was something else. That she grows big.
Let me take a look. Cassie Lang is. Well, they're calling her Ant Girl. I don't think that is the name.
That's not right. That's not right.
That's what Google is telling me, but this does not sound right to me.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the hero she becomes, but what was different?
Stinger and Stature.
Stature, that's what it is. Stature when she grows big. Yeah. What I wanted to ask you, Wendy, because I was not at Comic-Con, and then
I didn't see that one either. I only saw the D23 one.
Okay, well, I was backstage at D23.
Oh.
So they showed us, they had them on like TV screens so we could see it, but they had the volume off because people were doing interviews. So I didn't so I only saw shots of the trailer. I didn't see see it. So I guess my question to you is like, what's different than what was released last week? What's different in that than what you saw at D23? Or not much, right?
Not too much. I want to say is the very end, the interaction between Ant-Man and King in this trailer that we got is the most different thing. The beginning portion where they all get sucked into the machine and go into the quantum realm, that is the same, if not similar, to what we were shown at D23. But at the end of the footage from D23 is Kane kind of walks up and it's menacing, and Ant-Man is not, he's looking rough. He's got a bloody nose, you know, it's like he's gone through something. We don't know who he fights, if it's Kane or if it's his whoever. And Kane says something along the lines of, "You're an Avenger. I've killed an Avenger before."
Right.
And it was very, very menacing. Versus this one, it's still kind of menacing, but it's not quite as like, you know, dire because we don't have Paul Rudd's face all like bruised up and bloody.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what's different.
Gotcha.
Amongst other things, little footages, but it's mostly similar.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I liked the trailer. I like that. It has the tone of Ant-Man and Paul Rudd in the beginning. He's skipping along the street, and and the fact that I think it's funny that he wrote a book and he's now employee of the month at Baskin Robbins and all that. So I like the tone of it, and then pretty quickly it gets into sort of what's happening with the quantum realm and with Kane. I'd like to see more of that. I'd love to know more about what's happening with Kane, but obviously that was concealed for a reason. And also interesting to see Bill Murray.
I forgot that he was in the film.
Yeah, and they're keeping it close to the vest what character he's playing. Honestly, with everything going on, if you've been reading the news about Bill Murray, I wonder if he'll be in the movie by the time it comes out.
Oh.
Because he is on the...
But they put him in the trailer, and the trailer came out just recently.
But not a lot, right? Like he's just in that one shot. So,
just the one shot.
Yeah, I don't. Who knows where that's gonna go? How serious that's gonna become, and if Disney has to step in about that.
Yeah. We'll see.
In an Ezra Miller kind of way, we'll see.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the trailer. I like the tone. I didn't realize it's coming out so quick, February.
I know.
So is this the first film in phase 5?
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is the one that's going to kick it off. We get to finally see this guy as, Kang, because we got to see him.
And the Kang Dynasty Avengers is the last film, or no, Secret Wars is going to be the last one of 5,
I believe.
Or sorry, wait, of 6.
Of 6. It's at the very end. So they gotta there's a lot of arcs to go through, which is still like faster to me than how long it took the Avengers to get to like Infinity War.
I guess. I mean, it's the same. It's 3 phases.
Oh, that's true. I guess it just feels long.
What I would say, but I think the point you're trying to make, and I agree with, is like, if you think about phase 1 ended with an Avengers movie.
Right.
So we've gone through phase 4, no team up movie. Doesn't look like there'll be one in 5, and we don't get our next Avengers movies until the last 2 films of phase 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the buildup.
Yeah.
Stay for all the post-credit scenes, because that's where it's gonna they're gonna string it all together.
Since Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are essentially back to back, I mean, they'll probably be separated by a year, the way Infinity War and Endgame were. So I guess my question is like, do you think Kang is somehow involved as the villain in Secret Wars as well? The way Thanos was the villain in Infinity War, and then there was a big to be continued in the next summer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, Kang's the villain of Kang Dynasty, one would imagine.
Yeah.
But if Secret Wars is the continuation and the conclusion of that story, then wouldn't Kang be the villain in that as well, one would think?
He could. He absolutely could.
And I can't remember who puts the battle world together in the comics.
I can't remember that.
Yeah,
that's a deep dive for me.
But that's some other entity, and maybe they're making it the Kang entity or one of his variants.
I was gonna say, because they've already kind of established that in Loki,
right,
with the various timelines, and like I can see that happening.
And Loki 2 is going to come out well before any of those movies.
Yeah, so but I don't think we're going to see another Kane in that one. I think that was established, and
we may not see another Kang, but in that new reality that we were left with at the end of Loki season 1, he who will remain we see a big statue of him. So he's the idea. I mean, I don't know, but the idea was that he's in charge, right?
Right.
That he's of the new reality that Loki has made. So you're right. We probably won't see Kang in Loki season 2, but we could definitely see another version of he who will remain.
Yeah. in Secret Wars. I mean, there's also because
in
I
Loki
think
season 2, I think we could see Jonathan
Oh,
Majors.
you think so?
Oh, I think we could see Jonathan.
I would not be complaining.
Not as Kang, but as one of the variants.
Oh, interesting.
Because
yeah,
the world after Loki and Sylvie change everything, the world is left, and he who will remain is in charge.
Yeah,
I can't imagine he wouldn't appear.
It's going to be insane. I think it's going to be insane because, in phase 6, we're also getting Fantastic Four. So I think Dr. Doom can also be in play for Secret Wars.
And I would think that that's a good bet. I would think that's a safe bet.
Yeah. And then, we've established a couple of new characters since. We've got Titania, we've got the Wrecking Crew,
Yeah, but I think those are all
too small.
Or we'll chalk them up to B-level Marvel villains. Yeah.
I'm looking at Dr. Doom and Kang is what I'm looking at.
I think Dr. Doom and Kang. Am I starting a rumor if I say that I've heard Adam Driver being
I feel like I heard
Doom?
that.
Have you heard that too? Okay.
I feel like I heard that. I must have, I spent too much time on TikTok and you just scroll through a lot of fan theories, which I always, I stop and watch and interact with. So then now my For You page is kind of like, you want more Marvel theories? I'm like, sure, why not?
Did you hear what Howard Stern did over the summer with Dr. Doom? Did you hear about that?
No.
So Howard Stern takes the summer off on a serious show. Yeah. So the last show that he did in June or whenever it was, they ended the show, and then during a commercial, they turned on a hot mic and made it seem like it was a mistake. And so, but it was all scripted. And so they had the Baba Booey come out and say, Kevin Feige's on the phone for you. He wants to talk about scheduling for Doom this summer when you're shooting. They tried to make it look like there was a hot mic, and it revealed that Howard is going to be Dr. Doom. And so, of course, a lot of TikTok nerd fans, I can't believe Howard Stern's Dr. Doom. Did you hear that? But it got the exact effect he wanted, which was to rile up the nerds with some nonsense that we all know wasn't happening. But yeah. So that's so funny. So lest anyone think, I can guarantee you Howard Stern is not going to play Dr. Doom.
Not in the movie.
No.
I don't think.
No, not in any. No, I don't think. I know he's not going to do it.
That would be interesting, though. Imagine like 2 weeks from now, you and I get the update.
Well, I guess there was one fan was saying that there was some Dr. Doom like centered graphic novel from like the 90s, and there's a reporter. Like the whole thing is told from the viewpoint of the reporter that goes to Loctavia to interview him. Okay. And so one fan was like, "Oh, I bet Howard Stern's playing the journalist." Howard Stern's not going to be in a Marvel movie.
That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be fun. I mean, I love Howard, so it'd be great to see him in some of this stuff.
And it could be a gotcha moment. Be like, "How you thought so? Gotcha." And something else.
But I mean, like Wendy, you and I know. No. Disney is not putting one of their biggest villain characters. You know what I mean? Like that's
Howard Stern.
No. That's just not.
Oh, as much as we love him. Yeah. Well, you guys, that is all the news we have for Halloween's edition of HCA's Pop Council. You guys, thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoy our conversation, nerd talk, things like that, all the fandoms, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I think it's down there, so you don't miss out on any new videos. And we will be back next Monday. Yes, I believe so.
Perhaps.
We will be back. We will be back.
Will you wear the Pikachu outfit again?
I could.
Great. I think you should. I think you should always wear it on the show.
This is the staple now. This is it. I should have one for every Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
That'd be fun. I don't need like regular clothes. Just wear this.
Yeah, exactly.
Press junkets look like this. That's a conversation starter.
You won't be forgot. Well, we know many people who have made their careers on doing that.
And they're like, successful. Oh, well, okay, yeah.
Look at what you're wearing.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a great Halloween. Thanks for joining us. Jami, where can everybody find you and your work?
Absolutely. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Philbrick, Jami Philbrick on Facebook, and please check out Movie Phone for your showtimes, news, reviews, interviews, and ticket information.
And for me, you can find me at this handle right here on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. It's just The Movie Couple. And we will see you very, very soon. Bye, everybody.